I'll talk about some of the basic features, and if you join and you get a question, then feel free to go ahead and ask it, and I will divert from whatever I'm talking about to answer your questions. So I'm going to show you some of the basics that even if you've used PolyNome for a while, you may be unaware of. Essentially what I'm going to show you is the kind of theory around which it was built. So with most sequencers, DAW packages or anything where you program things in, usually you program the notes and the sounds together. So you say, I want to have this note play an E flat and this note play a B, or this note be on a kick and this note be on a snare. And what PolyNome does is it separates the rhythms from the sounds and the accents. So you start off by assigning a rhythm. So in here at the moment, we have a rhythm which is 4 quarter notes, and you can change that rhythm by tapping on it and going to the change rhythm page. And a kind of power user feature is you can also get there by just tapping and holding on the notes. And if there's already a rhythm in there, you'll get the option to shuffle the rhythm or displace the rhythm, and you can tap where it says rhythms at the top, and that's another way of getting in there. So let's enter a rhythm, and let's enter just a bar of 16th notes. So at the top here, you can see the rhythm we currently have. You can see the time signature. I'm going to click clear all. And when I clear the rhythm now, it says we have to add a rhythm using the buttons below. So at the moment you can see we've got a quarter note, an eighth note, 2 eighth notes, a triplet, 4 16th notes. We've got some rest options. These are all in the common rhythms page. And there are 3 pages of common rhythms. So if I tap P2, we get some more common rhythms. So here we find a single 16th note. We find a pair of 32nd notes. We find, dotted 8th rests and notes. And then on page 3, we have some common 16th note groupings. So if you're entering, for example, pages of reading from a book like Gary Chester's New Breed, you'll find basically what you need here. And when you enter these, they don't show up like they do here because there are certain limitations with PolyNome. So for example, if I tap this, it's just saving me adding those individual notes, but it doesn't show up with the beams across there. That's just something we have to put up with, I'm afraid. If I clear all this, and then we look on these things, we've got whole note, half note, quarter note, and an eighth note. And with these, the pages give you divisions of these notes. So for a whole note, we've got a whole note, 2 half notes, 3 half note triplets, 4 quarter notes, and then quintuplet, sextuplet, septuplet, 8 notes. And then we get on page 2, 9 to 16, and on page 3, 17 to 24. So you can use these if you want to create polyrhythms. So just as a quick demonstration, let's do a polyrhythm of, for example, 5 against 7. So to do that, we'll enter 5 here and then hit done. And then we'll use metronome 2, which is essentially exactly the same as metronome 1. It's just a whole nother metronome. And really, I guess it shouldn't be called a metronome. It should be called a drum machine or something like that. So if I tap on here and I hit change rhythm, then again, we can go to the whole note division. This time we can tap 7. And then when I hit done, we now have 5 against 7. Okay, so let me just change some things. So if things are sounding confusing like that, you'll see there's a little button here under play, which is the mixer button. So you can use tap that to toggle the mixer on and off. And in the mixer, you have faders for volumes of things in metronome 1 and metronome 2, which we'll come to in a little while. And you also have, if you swipe, and you need to swipe either above or below the faders. So this dotted line here is a kind of swipe strip that allows you to swipe this mixer left and right. So in this overlay sound section, we have a bar fader, which will play something at the start of every bar. The 1 fader will play the quarter notes. The E and A faders will play the 16th notes. Triplet faders will play the triplet partials. Mark fader allows you to play a sound every so many notes. And if you tap set mark position, you can choose to mark every 16/8 notes. So you could have every, I don't know, 3/16 notes. You know, you can just use this as an extra little fun thing. And then we have swing faders and delay faders, which affect the patterns that are programmed into metronome 1 and metronome 2. But all I want to do for now is mute all of these overlay signs. So I've pulled all those faders down. So now what we're hearing is what's in metronome 1 versus what's in metronome 2, which is 5 versus 7. So the click is the 7 and the floor tom is the 5. So while we're on this, why don't I go ahead and show you how you can add voice counting to these two metronomes. So to do that, we want to assign sounds to the patterns in the metronomes. So in order to assign sounds, you just tap on it and choose change sounds. And that brings up the change sounds page. Now in here, these 4 buttons are L, K, and H, which I labeled because I'm a drummer, and so this was kind of right hand, left hand, kick, and hi-hat. But really they're just letters representing these sounds. So R represents tom 1, L represents snare, K represents kick, and H represents tom 3, and rest is just a silence. So we could enter a snare, and what happens with PolyNome is when you enter a sound, it gets entered up here on this line, and here you can see what PolyNome is going to play. So even though I've only entered a single snare drum note, what PolyNome will do is loop this and assign it to every note up here. So this is really good when we're inputting grooves. It's very quick to input grooves into PolyNome, and it allows us to do things that other sequences can't do. Now I just tapped on line 2. There are actually 2 lines we can assign sounds to in PolyNome. So I could have snare drums and toms playing simultaneously. Or we could use this to program in some kind of groove, and I'll show you that later. So let's go back to this snare sound, and let's say I don't want it to be a snare, I want it to be voice counting, which is one of the options in PolyNome Pro. If I tap and hold any of these 4 buttons, it will take me to the sound picker page where I can assign the sounds to these buttons. So I'm going to tap and hold L. And now we're on the sound picker, and there are lots of sounds in here. We've got clicks, we've got crashes, hi-hats, kick drums, melodic sounds in the next version, 2.2.9, that's one of the new things. Melodic stabs, percussion, lots of different percussion, bongos, congas. We've got drums down here, rides, snare drums. So there's a lot of stuff in here. And you obviously don't want to have to scroll through this whole list to find what you want. So the best way is to use the search at the top. So say you wanted a tabla. Type tabla, and here we go. We've got the tabla options. If you wanted congas, start typing congas. And you've got your different conga signs. So what I wanted to demonstrate was the voice counting. So if I search for voice, we have all of these options. We've got voice samples of down, full, left, tap, and up, and they are for if you're working on different stroke types.
Down, full, up, tap.
We have left and right.
Left, right.
Which are voiced like that just to kind of help you hear them. And they're all really short samples, which maybe sound a bit weird. The reason is if you're playing PolyNome at different tempos, you don't want it to be like left, right, left. You need it to be a short, fast sound. So all of these are very finely tuned to make them very kind of, I don't know what the word is, like fast transient sounds and single syllables. So you also have and a, and then individual, and a, e and a. Down here we've got voice 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5. And all of these things where you have like e and a, and 1, 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 5, they are essentially sequences of sounds. So to demonstrate, I'm going to choose 1 to 5 for L. And why not choose 1 to 9 for R? Okay, so I actually I set voice 1 to 9 for L there. So I wanted that to be 1 to 5. Then I'll choose R, we'll assign a sound to R, and we'll make that be 1 to 9. And another little tip here, if you tap on a letter, it plays the sound that is assigned to it, and if you want to see where that is, you can tap on show, and that jumps to where it is in the list. And the reason for this is, say you wanted to set everything to the same sound, or I wanted K to also be, say I wanted K to be tom 2. If I hit K and it jumped to where the kick was, then I'd have to scroll back looking for tom 2. But as it is, it hasn't changed my list. So we've got H there, tom 3, K I can set to be tom 2. So I'm going to hit done. And now you'll see that L is assigned voice 1 to 5, and PolyNome is automatically going to increase the count as more notes go by. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's all I need to do is enter a single L to have PolyNome count these 5 notes. And when we go back to the main page, now it's going to count the 5. So we'll hear 5 against 7, and it might sound a little clearer this time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
1, 2.
So let's say we wanted to assign a voice count to this as well. We can tap on here, go to change sounds, or the power user feature, if you tap and hold under the notes, it will jump straight into the change sounds page. So once more, I'm going to choose the L. I'm going to tap and hold. I'm going to search for voice. And I'm going to have voice 1 to 7 here.
7.
And another note is if you tap the heart button, that adds it to your favorites. And the favorites are right at the top. So they're the first thing you'll see. So every time you find a sound that you like, if you add it to your favorites, then whenever you come to assign new sounds, you'll have those easily available. So again, if I just tap this once, you'll see it's going to count up to 7. Now, just to demonstrate what I mean by the fact that it loops around these numbers, if I go and change the R sound, so I can jump to where 1 to 7 is by showing that. So let's set this to be 1 to 3, for example. Now, if on line 2, I enter an R,
1.
You see it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And then what it does when it loops is something we'll discuss at another time. But you can see why this is 1 to 7 and that's 1 to 3. So let's hit done. Go back to this page. Now this is counting 1 to 5 up here, and it's counting 1 to 7 down here. And in the faders, you'll see we've got new faders. We have a fader for 1 to 5, which is the volume of this sound, 1 to 5, and a fader for 1 to 7, which is the volume for this sound. So if I play, it's going to sound pretty crazy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1.
So what I'm going to do is add another sound under here, which isn't a voice count. So change sounds, and we'll add a tom on line 2. So you tap line 2 to select it. And if I enter a tom, it's going to play a tom on each of those notes. So now we'll have that floor tom playing the 1 to 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And then we'll do the same in this metronome. We'll tap and choose change sounds. And on line 2, so I'll tap to select it. And we'll have the click on that one. So now I can play this, and you'll see here we've got a new fader for H, which is this, the volume of this sound, and a new fader for H here, which is the volume of that sound. So if I play this, I can mute, for example, the 1 to 5 count, and we'll just hear the 1 to 7 count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Or I can do the opposite.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So there we have the 5 against 7, just the percussion, and you can bring in the voices as you like. So another tip, and I don't know whether this will come across within this demo, but if you go to the menu, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, including some tutorials. So if you haven't discovered the tutorials menu, click on there. There's a few tutorials you can click, which will take you through walkthroughs of how to do certain things. But what I want to show you is in preferences, there are pan and mute settings. So I can pan metronome 1 to the left and metronome 2 to the right. And so now when we play this, I will hear the 5 in the left speaker and the 7 in the right speaker, but I don't know if this is broadcasting in stereo or not, but we'll see. And so then if you put the voice counting up, it's not as crazy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 2.
So let me mute those again and then go into preferences. I'm going to pan those things back to center. So that gives us a polyrhythm, and that's a little demonstration of the voice counting, and there's lots of other things you can do with voice counting. But for now, I'm going to clear this and we'll start over. So if you're ever starting a new preset, what you can do is tap on this disk icon at the top. This is another important thing to know about. This basically is where you save changes to presets, save new presets, undo changes that you've made. So what I'm going to do is say reset default, because at the moment we're on the default preset and I want to just put it back to kind of factory settings. In fact, let me cancel that. Let me save this preset. I'll show you how to do that. Tap on the disk icon and note this exclamation mark here. This appears when you have unsaved changes. So if I was to leave and do something else, then we might lose this preset. So I'm going to tap and choose save as, and I'm going to call it 5 against 7 demo, and I'll hit save. Now that appears in the preset library, and the preset library is to the right of the metronome, so you can always just swipe this page left to get to the preset library, or you can tap this little button here and that will show you the preset library, or you can tap on the preset name and choose show preset, and that will take you to the preset in the preset library. And that's useful because also in this space is the playlist. And to view a playlist, you tap on this button at the top and choose playlist. So if, for example, we were in here and we wanted to see this 5 against 7 preset and we swipe across and we go like, where is it? This is because we're in the playlist. So you can either tap here and go to presets to view it, or if you tap and choose show preset, then it will jump to the preset in the presets library. So we've saved that preset. While we're in here, I'll demonstrate another couple of things. This little note icon on the right is where you can add your own notes about presets. So let's tap on this and we'll add a note and we'll say voice counting demonstration of 5 versus 7 polyrhythm. And when you're done, you tap the little X in the top right and you'll see that this gets filled in. So you can see that there's a note associated with this preset, whereas there's no note associated with this one. There is a note associated with Hey Jude. So if I tap on this, on the note, we can view that note, fill into first bridge. So it's just a note for myself. And while we're on the presets page, you'll see in here that I have a lot of presets, like really a lot of presets, because I've been using this for a long time and it can get pretty messy. So I wanted to make sure that it was easy to keep this tidy and find the things that you want. And the way that we do that is with tags. So tags are, if you've used Gmail, tags are based on the Gmail model of being able to have multiple tags against each preset. And they're kind of like folders, apart from the fact that an item can only be in one folder, whereas an item can have multiple tags. So I'm going to add a new tag to this item. And to do that, you tap on the Actions button in the bottom left. So this is another really useful thing to know about. So I'll tap on Actions and I'll go to Manage Tags. And then I'm going to choose Add and Edit Tags. So this is the tags page. This is all the tags that I have associated with various presets. And I'm going to add a new tag by tapping on the plus button. And I'm going to choose a tag. I'm going to call it PolyRhythms. So I could assign this to all my polyrhythm examples. So I'll hit OK. And that appears down here under P. I'm going to tap it to assign it. And while I do this, I'm going to just scoot off in the background and make a note to myself: when adding new tag, automatically assign it. So in future versions, when you add a tag, it will automatically be selected. So we're going to select this and hit done. And now you'll see under here, oh, let me get rid of that so that you can see the chat. I realize that some of these things are going to cover up chat windows. Okay, so here you can see we've got the preset name, and then we have underneath, it tells us the tempo, and then we've got a tags icon that tells us that the polyrhythms tag is assigned to this preset. So if at any point I want to narrow this list down to just my polyrhythms, then I can click on filter by tag. I can even search for the tag polyrhythms, and it tells me there's one preset in there. When I tap it, this list is filtered. And then if I want to go back, I can either tap here on where it says tap here to view all, or I can tap on the flashing tag to cancel that. So let's see if I have any other polyrhythmic presets in here that probably will be labeled with numbers. So let's search for 5. Let's have a see. We've got 3 versus 4 versus 5. So I'm going to tap now this multi-select button in the top. And I'm going to tap to select that. And we have 3 versus 4 versus 5, same subdivision. I'm about to find out if I have a bug in here. 4 versus 5, 3 versus 5 versus 7. Polyrhythm 4 versus 5. That will do. Let's see if this works. I'll tap on the Actions button and I'll choose Manage Tags, Add Edit Tags. And then I'll find the polyrhythms tag, add it, and hit done. And hopefully now, if we filter by tag and filter on polyrhythms, we now have 6 polyrhythms in there. So it's really quite easy and quick to start to sort out your presets library. So let's clear this. And so now you've learned about the fact that you have this Actions button where you can do various things to the preset that's selected. And you've learned about the multi-select button up here. So if you tap this, you can select multiple items and perform actions on those multiple items. You can search your presets library, and you can sort the presets library. So at the moment, these are sorted by the most recently modified. We can sort ascending or descending by tapping on the arrow. And if you tap where it says recent, you can then sort by date created, or by tempo, or alphabetically, or by length, which is something different that's to do with creating set lists, and we'll maybe get onto that later. So what else have we got on here? Down at the bottom, you've got the trash icon. So if I wanted to get rid of this, you can tap on the trash icon to delete it. And then we also have the share button, which allows you to share a preset with yourself or post it to the public library. And you can do this with multiple things. So I just got asked a question. Hi Joe, can you back up just a few presets or playlist, or can you only back up the complete files? So I guess what you're asking is what I'm about to answer, which is if you want to back up just a few of these, you can tap the multi-select icon, you can choose the items that you want to share, and then you hit the share button and you choose share, and you can share those with yourself. Now, one thing to note is that if you do it this way, when you import those items on another device, they will have a prefix, well, they'll have a postfix on them actually, if that's what you call it. You see this one here, actual proof, has the library icon. That gets appended to any file name that you import from the public library. And that allows you to, essentially, we can filter by tag and filter on all items imported from the public library. And we can also filter by tag. And this one here is the icon that gets added when you share something. So if somebody shares a file with you, it will have that icon added to the end. And if you share it with yourself, it will also have that icon added to the end. And the reason for this is that PolyNome ties playlists and presets together by the name. So a preset, you can't change the name of a preset. And when you add it to a playlist, the two are linked by the fact that they have the same name. So the reason for this icon being added is if somebody shared a preset with you and they'd called it Cool Groove, and you already had a preset called Cool Groove, then it might overwrite your preset, and I didn't want that to happen. So instead, what you'll end up with is your Cool Groove, and then Cool Groove with this import icon, which will be the one that they shared with you. So if you want to share just a few presets or playlists with yourself, then you can do it. You may end up with kind of two copies of the same thing, but one with this icon on there. When you use the backup option, which is in the menu, and you choose backup, so you can back up presets, backup playlists, and you can do it by, when you choose this, there's an airdrop option if you have an airdrop on another device, and then you can beam them straight across, or you can email them to yourself. When you do it that way and you import them, it knows that you're backing up your own presets, and so it won't append this icon to the preset name. So that's kind of worth knowing about. So let's go ahead and get rid of this filter. What else do we have? What was I going to do? I kind of went off on a big tangent. I think I've explained most of the things on this presets page. There are a whole bunch of actions in here. So let's look at the edit features. I'm going to choose a song, say, what is hip? So when you tap on a preset in the preset library, it loads it immediately. So if we go back to the main page, you'll see that the preset has been loaded. If I tap triplet fill, it's loaded automatically. We can see that it's been loaded. So I'm going to tap on what is hip and click on the actions, and we'll see what actions are available to us. So edit features allows you to change the tempo, which you can also do on the main page. It allows you to add tags, which you can also do from the actions. And it allows you to choose whether to call this a practice preset or a song. And when you define something as a song by tapping song, essentially all that does is allow you to add a song length to this. So if the preset, if the song What Is Hip is something that you play in a band and you know that it's 3.5 minutes long, you can set that length in here. And then when we hit done, you will see, and I'll modify recently, this way we'll have it at the top. You can see that it's now been assigned the notes tag to say that it's a song. And here the song length is set to be 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So that's nothing to do with how long the actual preset will play for. This could, for example, just play once. So if I save this, when we play this, it'll just play once and then stop. And yet there's this 3 minutes 30. So the reason for this is if you're in a band and you want to create a set list for the gig tonight and you know that you're going to be playing for 60 minutes or 90 minutes, it's useful to know how long the songs that you want to play are. So the way I use this is I'll tap on filter by tag. I will search for Wishbone Ash, and this has all of my count-offs for Wishbone Ash songs. So let's say we're going to create a playlist. I can tap on this multi-select button up here, and I can start searching for the songs I want to add. So let's say I want to add The Power. When I tap on this, it's going to add it to the playlist, and you'll see up here, that's the length assigned to that song. So then let's say I'm going to add this song, and now this is telling us that our set is going to be 11 minutes, 48 seconds long. I'll add this song, which is a 6-minute song. So as I add these songs, you can see the length of the set is increasing, and this is where that filter by length is useful. So you could choose this, and you can choose length, and we can sort by the longest length at the top, or we can sort by the shortest length. So we want something that's around 8 minutes to fill this gap. So let's scroll down here, and we've got a 6.5 minute song there. So we'll add that. That's close enough to an hour. So then what you can do is tap on the actions button and choose to add the presets to a playlist, and we'll call it tonight's gig. And then we'll tap the add to new playlist button. And so all of those songs get added to the set list. You can see the set length at the top is just about an hour. Some of these are set to loop because I want them to play a click through the whole song. Some of them are set to 2 reps for a count off. What I'm going to do at the bottom in playlist controls is tap this row. I'm going to turn on auto advance. And what that means is that when this preset runs out, so for example, this one that's 2 reps, when that runs out, it's going to auto advance to the next item in the list, but it won't play it, it will just wait. So when I hit play here, it moves on to the next one. So all you have to do is reach down and hit play to get the count off for the next song. So that's one kind of useful feature. If you tap the playlist name up here, there's a few options, one of which is PDF of playlist. And that creates a printable playlist. You can AirPrint it here, or you can email it to yourself if you have an email account set up. So, you know, this is, if you were going to do this in Word, you'd spend ages trying to make everything as big as possible without it going off the page, and PolyNome does that for you automatically. So if I add more presets to this, so we can tap the plus button and choose to add presets to playlist. And then again, I can filter on my Wishbone Ash tag. So let's add some more presets, and you'll see the total time is increasing here. So let's add a lot of songs. Let's try and get a 2-hour long set. So there we go, 2 hours. Hit done. So now we have a much longer set list here. And when I tap and view the PDF, you can see it's scaled the font down to make them all fit on a single page. If there are certain songs that you don't want to appear on the set list, so look where I have this Lifeline example here. When I play this, I have 2 presets for it. So I'm going to search for Lifeline 2, and I've added that. You can see this 1 in the brackets means that it's in the playlist. And I want to put that, where is it? Underneath Lifeline 1. So if you tap the pencil icon, you can edit and move things around. So let's drag this down and put it underneath Lifeline 1. So this is what I have. For example, I have the one that tells me that the song is 6.5 minutes long, and then maybe this one was going to be a click that plays through the whole song. So I'll set this to be looped, so we can tap on repeats and tap it and set it to loop. So this will give me a count off. Oh, you know what? That's not what this one was. this song has 2 sections and they're at different tempos and there's a kind of gap in the middle. So what I usually do is when I'm kind of swelling the crashes, I'll reach down and hit play to give me the tempo for the next section. But I don't really want, if I'm printing a playlist, I don't really want it to say Lifeline 1 and Lifeline 2 because they're the same song. So one of the actions, if you tap the edit button up here and click on Lifeline 2 and tap on the actions button, one of the options is toggle visibility in playlist, in the PDF, sorry. So when I tap this, you'll see we now have this little gray icon here, and that means it's not going to show up in the PDF. So when we tap here and choose PDF of playlist, now we just have Lifeline 1. So that's a way you can have multiple sections of songs, clicks if you're playing through and there's a time signature change or something like that. You can have those in a single playlist and still be able to print out just the titles of the songs that you're interested in. So another tip, if that's the case, let's say that we wanted a count off for Lifeline 1 and then Lifeline 2 is going to be at the same tempo. So I'm going to set this to be the same tempo, which is 121. But let's say that this is going to loop. So I'll tap the gear icon. See what I'm doing here is I'm tapping this gear icon. That lets you change the settings for the individual presets. So I'll tap this and I'll set the repeat to be loop forever. So we'll have a count off, but it's at the moment it's going to play this, it's going to move into the next one, but then it's going to stop. So that's the groove I have to play for the start of that song. So maybe I wanted to hear that groove just to remind me what it was, and then I wanted Lifeline 2 to be a click to play along to. But in order for that to be automatically playing, we need to turn on play when advancing. So back down in playlist controls, I'll tap on the auto advance row and I'll turn on play when advancing. So now we play Lifeline 1 and we get the groove. And then it automatically advances into our click. And it's going to loop here, so we don't need to worry about it moving on to take it back. However, when we start this one here, Sometime World, for example, and I hit play, which is a silent click, it moves into Way Down South. When we hit Number the Brave, which may also be a silent click, then it moves into this, and we don't want that to happen. So the silent clicks here, they're for ones where the guitarist will start the song, so I don't need a tempo. I can let them deal with it. But you'll see that it automatically started playing the click for the next song, which we obviously don't want to happen. So that's what these icons on the left are. So hopefully you can see those. There's either a square with a downward arrow or a play triangle with a downward arrow. So when you have the square, that's a stop sign, and it means when this preset is reached, PolyNome will stop. The play icon means when this item is reached, PolyNome will continue to play. So we can set all of these to stop when reached, and you do that by tapping the edit button. We'll select all from this toolbar at the bottom, and then we'll tap it again because it's actions, and we can say auto advance options. We can tap on here. I think on version 2.2.8 this play and stop when reached are just in that first menu, but I'm going to choose stop when reached. So that means that this playlist will now play for however long is in here, so 2 reps in this case, and then it will advance, but it will stop because that is set to stop. And then all we want to do is down here for Lifeline 2, we want to make that play when reached. So you have 2 options. You can again tap the edit button, select this one, the actions menu, auto advance options, play when reached, or for individual presets, you can just tap on the gear icon and toggle the action when reached. So play when reached, and we hit done. So you'll see this one now will play when reached. So let's just test this. It should do 1 rep and then it should start playing the next preset. And this is going to loop until we're done. and all the rest of them will auto advance and stop on the next item. Sorry. So what else have we got on here? We've got this eye icon. What does that mean? If I tap on this, you'll see there's another eye icon up here. This is the button for toggling on playlist notes. So when I tap this, it says outro like everybody laughed. And what that is a note that I made to myself when I thought it would be cool to try that groove on the outro of this song. And I just wanted to remember that when I was on the gig. So you can change that. Let's say that we were playing Number the Brave and we finished the gig and I think, oh, it'd be great to do a kind of In the Air Tonight fill on the middle section of that. And then, we're not playing until a few days later. And I don't want to forget that that was something I wanted to do. So I can tap on the gear icon and go to where it says note, override note. And I'll tap the notes icon and I'll say, try In the Air Tonight fill in middle 8. Click the X to close it, and you'll see that this note is now populated like it was on the presets page. And then we'll hit done, and you'll see that this has a red eye icon. So the difference is the red eye icon means that it's an overridden note, and the overridden note is because we turned on this override note. So if I tap this red eye icon, you'll see In the Air Tonight fill in the middle 8. And this one has the note for outro like everybody laughed. And these ones just tell you that you can click on the gear icon to add a note. So this Way Down South, we're going to go off on a little tangent. We swipe back to the main page and you can see that Way Down South is loaded. And underneath it says tonight's gig. So this is telling us that the preset that's loaded is part of the playlist tonight's gig. And there's a version of Way Down South in the presets library, which if I search for it, we'll find Way Down South. And you'll see this note here. If I tap it, it says outro like everybody laughed. So what happened here is that when that preset was added to the playlist, the note that we had on the original preset was copied across with it. So you might have notes for a song like the lyrics, and you might want those to be available in any playlist that you add them to. So for that to be the case, you would create them on the original preset before adding them into the playlists. So let's go ahead and change this note. So remember, at the moment it says outro like everybody laughed. So let's say I try that on the gig and I don't think it works. And I have Way Down South in a whole bunch of different playlists and I want to get rid of that note. So I'm going to load the parent preset, and the parent preset is the version of this preset that's in the preset library. And you can only have one preset with the same name in the preset library. So we can either go to the presets page and find it like we did before, or if you go to the main page, when you have a preset that is an item from a playlist library, you can tap the disk icon and there will be an option for load parent preset. So if I tap this, see where it says tonight's gig up here, that's going to disappear. And now we have got the version of the preset from the preset library. And if I tap the disk icon, we no longer have the load parent preset because that's what we're viewing. So then I can show this in the preset library. Like I showed you earlier, if you tap on it, you can click show preset and that jumps to the version that's loaded. And you can see we've got the notes. So I'll tap on there, outro like everybody laughed. So let's go ahead and change this. And instead of that note, let's say outro like, what's got an interesting outro? Let's say outro like wipeout. Maybe that would work. So I'll close this. You can see we'll tap it, that note has been changed. Now we're going to go and look in that playlist and see what happened to the note. So we've got that I button, that icon. And you'll see it still says outro like everybody laughed. And the reason is that we didn't save the changes to that preset. So we can go back to the presets library. We can find Way Down South. And in the actions menu, on edit features, you'll see down here, there's an option to update all playlist copies. So this preset is the basis for 16 presets in playlists. So that means that Way Down South is in 16 different playlists. And I've made changes to this one. I've changed the notes, and I may also have changed the groove or something else. And maybe I want all of those playlists to be updated. So perhaps, we change the tempo and I want all the different ones to be updated. So if we tap on update all playlist copies, I get to choose whether I want to overwrite just the pattern, and that will include the notes and things, or the pattern and the tempo. So the reason for these options is maybe you play Mustang Sally in 3 different bands, and in one band you play it at 105 BPM, and in another band you play it at 115, and another one you play it at 120. But you always want the click to be, a shaker with a cowbell. So maybe you change that and you decide you don't like the shaker and the cowbell. You want it to be a shaker and a hi-hat or something. So if you were to choose overwrite pattern here, it would update all of the presets to be now a shaker and a hi-hat, but it wouldn't update the tempos on those. So you still get to retain the tempos that you'd set. If I overwrite pattern and tempo, it will overwrite the tempos as well, and they'll all be set to the same tempo. So I'm going to overwrite pattern, and if we can remember what it was we were doing, hopefully, if I've done my job correctly, when we go into the playlist and we view the note, it will now say outro like Wipeout. And all versions of Way Down South now have this new note. So again, let's say that with one band, we don't want the outro like Wipeout, we want the outro like something else. If you do the overridden note here, that will let you choose a different note for this band. So we'll close this, hit done, and we're viewing the overridden note now for this one, Everybody Laughed. And while we're at it, that's a bit small if you're on stage and this is down on your kick pedal case. So you can click on this A button and change the size of the font. And if you turn on override, that changes the font size for just this preset. So maybe one of these down here has got lots of things and you need it to be smaller. So we'll change this one to be as big as we can before it starts wrapping around. So like that. And then you just tap over here to hide that. This one is a small thing, but let's change the size of that. We'll override again. If you turn override off, by the way, it applies to all of the items that don't have override turned on. So, but let's override and turn this like that. So now when you're playing through here, you get to see that note, you get to see that note. And then this icon in the bottom lets you choose the size of this notes display. So that's great for seeing a lot of information, but you can't tap on any of the things or see what's coming up next. If you tap it again, you'll see that it gets this play icon, and that means that when you hit play, this fills the screen, and when it stops, it goes back to that size. So when you're playing, you can have all your notes visible, and then when it stops, it's back here so you can load a different song. So that's pretty useful if you've got little things that you want to remember on a gig. So I kind of went off on a lot of tangents there, but hopefully you've learned a little bit about playlists and presets. There's so much more you can do with it. I'm going to sign off shortly, unless I see any questions pop up, because I think there's nobody watching this live stream. But hopefully if you're watching this on the archive, you've learned some useful things. I'm going to show you how you can change the buttons down here. So if you tap and hold play, you get the button picker, and we can hide things here. So we can hide the tempo, because if it's a playlist that I've created for a band, I don't need to change the tempo on the gig. And then maybe I want these buttons to be bigger, so I'll turn on big buttons. So now this is what my control panel looks like for the tonight's gig playlist. And that information is saved with the playlist. So in order to load another playlist, you have a couple of options. You can tap on this expandable button and go to Playlist Manager. Or you can tap on the playlist name here and choose Playlist Manager. Or you can just tap and hold on the playlist name and that loads up the playlist manager. So let's load up, for example, this test playlist. And again, if you tap it to load it, you can tap the load button at the bottom. Well, let's load this one here. Or you tap and hold and it will load it directly. So I'm going to tap and hold this one. And now we have a playlist that I created this afternoon. And you can see that I have different controls down here. So I just got a note from Alexander and Francis saying that you guys are watching. So it tells me there's 2 people watching. I guess you are all the people watching. If you've got any questions, please ask them in here and I'll endeavor to answer them. I'll have to sign off in about 10 minutes. And while I wait for those, I'll just show you something else that's useful. If you're working on something like this, see I've got these different tempos, 100, 106, 122, 104, 131. This is just because I was practicing, wanted to play this vamp at different tempos. Let's say I wanted to play everything a little bit faster, but relatively faster. So I don't want to increase them all by 10 ppm. I just want to make them, say, 10% faster. There's a way to do that, and that is to tap and hold to bring up the button picker. So we'll tap and hold and play.
1, 2, 3, 4,
And turn on tempo percent.
3, 4, 3,
And then we'll stop that. So now you get this slider. And as I slide this, you can see down here, we're going to go 70% of 100 BPM is 70 BPM. 50% of 100 BPM is 50 BPM. So this is saying that the tempo of this preset is set to 100, but we're going to play it back at 50% of that, which is 50 BPM. And when I play,
1,
you'll see that it shows 50 BPM now. If we wanted to play twice the speed, we'll slide this up to 200%, and now it'll play at 200 BPM.
1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3.
So all of these are going to play back at 200 BPM. So when we go into this preset, it's going to play 200% of 106. So that's going to play at 212 BPM. So this is what you want to use if you have different sections of a song that are different tempos but related tempos, and you want to practice the whole thing more slowly or more quickly. You do it with the tempo percentage slider. And when you no longer want to see this, oh, by the way, I think if you tap and hold on the percentage slider or double tap it, is it double tap or just tap? If you just tap on the percentage slider, it brings up this, and you can set the percentage manually to say 75%, or you can tap it and choose 100% to put it back in the middle. I tend to not have this control up unless I'm specifically using it, because if you're on a gig, you don't want to have that there and accidentally swipe it and then have the whole gig being played too slow. So when I'm not using it, tap and hold on play,
1, 2, 3, 4,
turn it off.
2, 3.
So you can hear the melody on this. This is something that's coming in 2.2.9, is the ability to have melodic vamps and things, and it's pretty fun to play too. I thought of something else then, and then it's gone. Oh, I know what I was going to show you. Some stuff in the practice log. So let's go ahead and under the play button, you have the thing for toggling the mixer on and off. And next to that, you have the button for toggling the practice event editor on and off. So when this is on, it shows you the last event that was logged, what the preset name was, how long you played for, 3 seconds, the date it was logged. And you can tap on the notes button and you can add a note to that particular event, so that exact 3 seconds that you played that practice event for, or to the daily log. And if you add to the daily log, when you choose that, it copies the preset name into the clipboard. And if I tap on here, I can paste that preset name and then make some notes about the fact that I've been working on this. It was fun, need to work harder on faster tempos. And every time I add to that daily log, it's just going to add another thing. So let's go ahead and say that we practice this for a little while. This is a click that I use to play along to on a gig. So I've played that for 6 seconds. So again, I can tap this little note and I can add to the daily log and tap to paste the preset name, and this just lets me know that I'm making a note about the fact that I worked on this. And let's say that feeling pretty good, no need to work more on this. So we've added a couple of notes in there. Now down here in the left, you'll see this little timer icon, and this says 19 minutes and 20 seconds. That is showing you one of a few things. If you tap on this, you will see we can choose what to show. So at the moment it's showing practice logged today. If we choose on practice logged since reset, that is going to show how much practice we've logged since we last hit the reset button. So since I last hit the reset button, we've logged 3 hours and 36 minutes of practice. And if I hit time since reset, that shows us that it's a long time since I hit the reset button. So if we tap on this and reset now that's how long since I hit the reset button. And so we can go practice log since reset 0. So now I'll play this. So we're going to log, say, 5 seconds here, 6 seconds, and you'll see that that's what we just logged, 6 seconds, and we also logged 6 seconds since we last reset. And then let's log some more. So we just logged 4 seconds, and the total practice log since reset is 10 seconds. So, you know, that can be useful if you're trying to keep track of how much practice you've done in a certain time. If you wanted to log practice without a click, you could just bring up I would save it. I would say I'm working on, so let's go save, create new preset. Let's say we're working on free play. So we're just messing around and we're not bothered about the tempo. We just want to log the fact that we've played a certain amount of time. So what I'll do is bring on the fader, mute that. So now when we play, there's no click, but we can log the fact that we've played a certain amount of time with free play. So again, when I hit stop, you can see this is actually counting up as we go. So this is the total practice logged since I last hit the reset button. And we've logged 17 seconds of free play. So Alexander says, how could I do when the song have different metrics? 4, 4, 6, 8, 3, 6. 3, 6? That's not a time signature. I'll show you. Let's go ahead and create the first preset, which is in 4/4. So I'll click on the disk icon, create new preset, 4/4 section of song. So we have this. Now, a quick note here, that's playing a floor tone because when there's no sounds entered against the notes, what PolyNome does, instead of playing nothing, which would be confusing, it plays whatever is assigned to the H button, which at the moment is tom 3. So I'm going to change that, and I'm going to tap and hold one of these buttons. I'm going to set that to be a certain click. So we'll set it to be that click, and I'll set the L to be that click. And then I'm going to enter this. So this is the click for our 4/4 song. And then you see this flashing exclamation mark means we haven't saved the changes. So I'll tap and save changes. No worries. And then we want to do 6/8. So we're going to tap on the disk icon, create new preset. And it creates the new preset based on default. So whatever is saved as default is what we use as the template for the new preset. And sometimes the default, if you've been pasting attributes, the default can get kind of messed up, but it doesn't really matter. We'll call this 6/8 section of song. So we need to set the time signature of this. So we tap and go to change rhythm, tap on the time signature and set it to be 6/8. And you can see here that 4/4 is one too many beats for 6/8. So we'll just clear all. And we'll enter 6/8 notes and hit done. And then we'll choose how we want this to sound. So again, we'll tap and go to change sounds. And these have gone back to the sounds that were assigned to the default. So tap again choose some beeps.
5,
And this one, we'll hear this 6/8 as like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, this is flashing, so we need to save the changes. So we now have two different things. Let's do another one. Let's say we've got a 5/4 section. This time I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to save as and call it 5/4 section of song. So this will now save exactly what we have here, but call it 5/4 section of song. So we'll go in here and change the rhythm to 5/4. And we'll add some more eighth notes. And then we can choose how we want to hear this click. So I'll tap and change sounds. And let's say we want to hear like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how we want to hear the 5/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we'll save this. So now we have 3 different presets which we can view in the preset library. And if I sort these by recent, we have those 3 sections. So you want to create a click for a song that has those 3 time signatures in. The easiest way to create a playlist is by multi-selecting the items we want. So in fact, we can do it, well, I'll show you a different way. So we'll create a playlist from this single item, tap on actions and choose add preset to playlist. And let's say the song is called Being a Bad Day. Who knows where that comes from? Add to new playlist. So now we have a playlist with this one 4/4 time signature in it. To add new presets, you just click on the plus button and choose add presets to playlist. So let's say this song starts off in 4/4, then it goes to 6/8, then it goes back to 4/4, and then it goes to 5/4, and then it goes back to 4/4. So you can see here we've got 3 lots of 4/4 in the song, 1 lot of 6/8, 1 lot of 5/4. Then I'll hit done. And at the moment, these are all set to loop. So we don't want them all to loop. We want them to be a certain number of bars each. So let's say the 4/4 section, we want that to be 2 bars. And it says here it's infinite bars. So we'll tap on the gear icon. We'll choose reps and we'll set that to be 2. Hit done. So that's one way of setting reps. If they were all going to be 2 reps, there's a really quick way to do that, which is to click on the playlist time row and choose set all reps to be 2. That sets them all to be 2. And then let's say we wanted to have this 4/4 section in the middle be 4 reps. And another way of doing it, let's say this and this are both 4 reps. So you can tap the pencil icon and choose the ones that we want to set. And then in the actions menu, you have set reps. So we'll set those to be 4 reps each. So you can see it's really easy to do this. And you can see that 4 reps of 4/4 is 4 bars. 4 reps of 5/4 is 4 bars of 5/4. So this is kind of telling you the structure of the song. It's really easy to change that. If you want to move the order, tap on the pencil icon and you can move this around. So maybe it starts in 5/4. So let me say, if I play this, you'll probably do this a lot. I do this a lot. You play it. This bar shows you when this preset is going to end. So we're getting to the end of the 5/4 section and we're going, yeah, it's going to move on. Oh, it stops. So when it does that, you have to turn on auto advance. So tap on this row, turn on auto advance, turn on play when advancing. And these, on this page, all of these options, it tells you what they do underneath. And when you turn on some options, you get more options. When you turn on playlist looping, you get all the options for tempo change. When you turn on tempo change, you get the options for that. There's a lot of stuff in here, but it's all explained. So I'm going to turn those off. So now we have the 5/4 section of the song. We'll play this. Oh, one more thing. If they're all the same tempo, all the sections of the songs are the same tempo, you don't want to have something like this happen where you accidentally set this to be 111 and that's now 111, that's 120, that's 120. You want them all to be the same. So if you hit this padlock icon, that's tempo lock, and that gets rid of the tempo assignments in here and just uses the main tempo. So let's set this to 150 so it plays through a bit quicker. And now what we have is this song structure. So we got 5/4 for 4 reps, and then it'll go into the 4/4 section for 2 reps, then into the 6, and then into 4, and then into 4/4 again after this. Now then, you see how we've got this different click sound on the 4/4 section, that kind of harsh click, and on this one we've got the nice click. Well, let's just look at these. So on this 6/8 section, we're using right for the high pitch and L for the low pitch, and on this one we're also using right for the high pitch and L for the low pitch. So this is the horrible one, and this is the nice one. Whoops. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make sure we're on this one with the nice sound, and I'm going to copy this. So you tap on the preset name, choose copy preset, and that copies everything in here to the PolyNome clipboard, including the sound assignments. And then we can paste the bit that we want into all of these items. So we hit the pencil icon, select all, and then tap actions. So just so you don't get confused, when you hit the pencil icon, until you've selected something, this button is select all. Once something is selected, it becomes actions. So pencil icon, select all is just a quick way to select everything. Then it's actions. So we tap it and we go to paste attributes. And what we want to do is metronome 1 is where we had the clicks programmed in, and we want to paste some features of metronome 1 from the clipboard into features of metronome 1 in all our selected presets. But we don't want to paste in, for example, the rhythm, because that's different for all those things. What we want to paste in is the sticking sound assignment. So that is the sounds that we assign to the R, L, K, and H things. That's the only thing we want to paste. We want to leave everything else alone. Otherwise, it'll screw things up. So hit paste. And now all of these should have the nice click. So remember, 4/4 was the horrible one, and now it's the nice one. So you can use that to do things like changing volumes. We could have some voice counting. Let's just have a quick play around with that. Let's go to 5/4. Another little thing here. So we're in a playlist. Okay, so the fact that this says 4 reps in red means that that is an overridden repeat. So on the gear icon here, you can see we've set repeats. If it was off, it would use whatever the repeat setting for the original preset was, but we've overridden it with 4 reps. And when we go back to the main page, because this is an auto-advancing playlist, we go to the main page and we hit play, it plays it 4 times, and then it's going to move on to the next one. If we want to just stick on this one for a second, we can tap on this and it will turn the playlist off and go back to whatever the original one was, which has a different tempo, in fact. So what I want to do is turn on automatic voice counting for this. So you'll find that in the mixer. So you tap on the mixer button, and then we go to overlay sounds, and the 1 is the quarter note fader. So we'll push this up and we'll go change sounds, and we'll search for voice and assign auto voice counting
Voice count.
to the 1 fader. And now we get this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Which is pretty cool, right? So let me save the changes. And I'm going to update the pattern, but not the tempo, because remember we had a different tempo in the playlist. So just updating the pattern will not copy that tempo across. And then I'm going to copy by tapping the name and choosing copy preset. So now we've copied all of this preset into the PolyNome clipboard, which includes the overlay sounds and volumes. So now we can go back, hit the pencil icon, select all, tap again on actions and choose paste attributes. And for the overlay sounds, you don't need to select a metronome. So there's no worries that you're going to accidentally overwrite the rhythm. All we need to do is paste the overlay sounds, which the sounds assigned, so that includes the auto voice count assignment. and the volumes, which is the fader volumes in the overlay signs. So we hit paste. And now, hopefully, what we'll have is voice counting for all of these presets.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2.
So here we go. Next one.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
Okay, so you'll notice, first of all, that first preset was set to 111. That was because, not because I didn't update the tempo, but because we already had that set as 111. So remember, you can hit the padlock icon to turn off the individual tempos. But notice that 6/8 counted 1, 2, 3 rather than 6, right? So again, we'll tap on the red text here to turn off the playlist for a second. And when you have time signatures that are 8th note time signatures and you push up the 1 fader, that's only going to count the quarter notes. So that's why we had 1, 2, 3. And if I push up the and fader,
1, 2, 3.
You can hear that's a click. So if I go to change
Voice
sounds and set the and fader to also be voice count. So remember, you can go to
Voice count.
something that has voice count and you can hit show.
Voice count.
And then when we go to the and fader, this doesn't scroll, so we can assign voice count to this.
Voice count.
So if you assign the 1 and the and faders to voice count in a something 8 time signature, I'm going to save this, then it will count the 8th notes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1.
So that's useful to know. So since we've got, 4 people, or it says 2 watching. I don't know if those stats are wrong, but thank you, Alexander, James, Francis, for watching this. I appreciate your questions and attention. I'm going to show you, before I sign off, something in the practice log, because the practice log is a huge feature. It's got lots of different stuff, and I'm adding new things, some of which you'll see in this little demo. So I'm going to go into the practice log. So there's a couple of ways to get in there. You can either tap on the practice event editor and you can access the practice log by tapping this and choosing view practice log, or you can go in the menu and go to practice log. Now, I copied across all of my presets from my iPhone. So I've got 12,500 practice events in here, total practice time of 4 days. So this is good for demonstrating a few things. So you won't have these on your version. This is something I just added today, which is a summary of how much practice I did today and how much practice I did yesterday. And then I haven't decided on what these icons are going to be, but at the moment, these are down and up arrows. So I'm thinking about also thumbs down, thumbs up. But basically, today I've done 37 minutes and yesterday I did an hour. So I'm down on my average, which is 37 minutes a day versus an hour a day. The last 7 days, I've done 3 hours, 10 minutes. And in the previous 7 days, I only did an hour and 45. So my average for the week is up. My average for the month, I'd have to turn this into landscape to view the end of this. Maybe I'll have to figure out a way around that. But 19 minutes average for this month and 26 minutes average for last month. So I'm down on my monthly practice, but I'm up on my yearly practice. So that's a really nice summary if you're trying to achieve a certain amount of practice a day. This little thing tells you whether you're up for the day, up for the month, up for the year. So that'll be a nice addition to the next feature. So the next version, I should say. So at the top here, we have the filters. So this is statistics, right? There's the statistics page. And down here, we also have the practice log summary. What we have here is 3 pages at the bottom. So this says we're viewing in detail mode. So we have the statistics page, which tells you various statistics, number of practice events for these filters. So we're viewing all presets in this date range and this BPM range and all durations of events. And it tells you things like the most played tempo in the range is 60 BPM. So then if you swipe this way, we get page 2, which is a summary of all presets in this date range and this tempo range by tempo. So you can bracket by 5 BPM or 10 BPM. And this tells us how much time we've spent practicing in these different tempo ranges. So I've spent 2 minutes practicing in the 0 to 9 BPM range, which is pretty crazy. And you can order this by the tempo. So, you know, 0 to 9, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, or total time. So this way, if I do it, you know, highest first, I've spent most time in the 120 to 130 range, and least time down the bottom, you know, 2 seconds in all of those ranges. But you can see, you know, how you've spent your time practicing those different ranges. And you can also just, at the moment we're viewing this whole date range, but you can say like 1 day, and then you can swipe through the days like this, or you can do 3 days or a week. I don't know how useful this actually is. And then the final page is all of the individual practice events that make up those statistics. And so the first thing I want to show you is that some of these you might not want to have in here. So let's say that any events that are under 30 seconds, we're not really considering practice. They were probably just us playing around with the preset and trying to set it. So in the filters at the top, you can tap on all durations. And if you tap where it says all durations, you can choose longer than or shorter than. So I'm going to choose shorter than a minute. No, shorter than 30 seconds. So anything that was done for less than 30 seconds, I'm not interested in. I can delete. So I'll hit done. And this shows us there's 360 events that were less than 3 seconds. Now, most of these are count-offs for songs. So I can see that I played on the US tour for Wishbone Ash, I played Bonafide and UC Red. So you may want to keep these in as a record of which songs you played on which dates. That's kind of cool. But I'm just going to delete these. So to delete them all, when you hit edit, you can either go and delete individual items, or you can delete everything in view, which is going to delete 359 events. So I'll hit that. That's just going to clean up that. And then when you tap the red text here to go back, that takes us back to where we came from. So that's the statistics, general statistics, the BPM grouping, and the individual events. So note that we are currently viewing items less than 30 seconds. So I'm going to tap that and go here, tap all durations. So we go back to viewing all of our events. And then I'm going to show you the view charts thing. Oh, coming in the next version, by the way, if you tap on date range, you'll be able to choose today, last 7 days, last 30 days, last year, to quickly set these date ranges. You can tap on the dates to set the date range, and you can choose today and then minus a week if you want to quickly see the start date from a week ago. And then we'll tap on this one and choose today. So now I've got statistics for the last week of practice events. And then here where it says all presets, you can tap on that and you can choose to just view daily log events. And then if you swipe across to the events, you'll just see any daily log events that have been added. And so I can view that note, and that's what I entered earlier on in this tutorial. Anyway, so that's what we're viewing there. So we can go, we can choose here also to view the current preset. So that's practice log for the current preset, practice logged for the current playlist, practice logged for any presets named default. So this current preset and presets named are based on what preset is loaded. And then you can filter by tag, and you can change the tag here, and you can choose, for example, any tags that we've created. So I can choose Wishbone Ash and just view practice log entries for presets named Wishbone Ash. So that will give me all of the songs that I played with Wishbone Ash on the different dates. So if I set this date range to be from 2 years ago, this is all the songs that I've played, count-offs from Wishbone Ash songs. So I can see what I played on any date. So quickly, let me show you that charts here. So if you click view charts, and I'll just have to change the view on here a second to this one. So this is the chart view, and this shows you, if we click on all time, this shows me the different amount of practice I've done per day, and you can tap on rows to show them. And it may be better to do it by, say, a month. So this is the practice I've done this month, last month. But these are the ones tagged Wishbone Ash. So let me just go back and change the filters to all presets, view charts. So this is all the practice I've done by day. And if you scroll down, this is the practice by preset. So I spent a lot of time, for some reason, practicing to the open road click. Quite a lot of time practicing to that click. The reason for that is that's a click that I play to for the whole song. So that tells me that I've played the song Open Road for nearly 3 hours over the last couple of tours. So yeah, most of these are clicks that I played to live. And then at the bottom, you have the graph of tempos covered. And you can see here they're grouped by 10 BPM. And they're in the range pretty much 0 to 700. So back on the main page, I'll just drag this down so you can see it. Back on the main page, if I change the tempo range, something more normal, like for example 30 BPM to 250 BPM, that will change. If we go back into the charts, where's he gone? That will change this tempo graph down the bottom so that it's, that's the max and minimum. So it's easier to see, like, these are the tempos we want to do more work on in these ranges. And you can group them by 5 BPM or 1 BPM. So individual tempos that we've done. So this is I use the tempo thing in here a lot to see what tempos I should do some more work on. And also I use this up here to tell me when I'm kind of not practicing as much as I feel like I should. So let's go back, and Alexander asked about rudiment presets. So yeah, as Francis said, there are some in the public library. So to go to the public library, tap on this icon up here. If you haven't signed up for an account yet, you can do that on the About page. You just click on Register for Public Library, and there are instructions on how to do that. And once you've got your account, you tap on the icon and go to Public Library. So make sure you're logged in. And then if you scroll down to Snare Drum and Practice Pad, there's a rudiment section in here. So we've got rudiments. So tap on this. And I actually added all the ones that I could from the sort of 40 ones. So if you tap on all the rudiments, then you can tap to install 2 PolyNome playlists. And when you tap it, it just says here you want to open in PolyNome. I'm going to skip all that I've already imported because I have them in here already. And then once they're imported, it says you'll find them in the playlist manager tagged with this tag. So, and the library books thing. So we'll go ahead. If you're importing them for the first time, by the way, in fact, let me just go and import them again. If you're importing them and there's new things, if I choose overwrite all, then we get this option to view imports. And that will take you straight to where they are in the playlist manager. And what it did was went to the playlist manager and filtered on the tag, which is today's date and time. And this is when we imported them. So we have rudiments and rudiments 2 snares. So basically they're both the same, but rudiments 2 snares, it splits the left and right hand between 2 different snare sounds, so it's easier to hear. So I'm going to tap this and load it. So we have single stroke roll, and if we swipe across, we have a single stroke roll. And you can hear it between those 2 snare sounds. And then we've got single stroke 4. And then we have, I'm going to go down to the paradiddles down here, single paradiddle. Because you'll note in metronome 2, it has the stroke types to use to play these. And And the way I did that was, I'm going to clear this metronome. Whenever you've entered something in metronome 1 that has an R and L sticking in line 1 and has some accents, then you can create a stroke guide. And all you need to do for that is click on those 3 dots and choose stroke guide. And when you do it, there's this option to learn more, which takes you to a web page and explains what up, down, tap, and full strokes are. So there's a good video lesson in there. And if you click don't show again, this won't pop up and it will just do it automatically. When you hit do it, you get these down, up, tap strokes. So let me slow the tempo down. I'm going to bring up the mixer, and you'll see that the mixer has changed so that line 1 of metronome 1 is set to hands. So I can mute the hands if I want. And metronome 2, line 1 is relabeled right hand. So that's that down, tap, tap, up. Line 2 is relabeled left hand. And then you have down, up, tap faders for the volume of those things. So if we mute the left hand voice things, this is going to tell us the strokes to play with the right hand.
Down, tap, tap, up, down, tap, tap, up, down, tap, tap, up.
And then I'll bring the left hand up and mute the right hand.
Up, down, tap, tap, up, down, tap, tap, up, down, tap, tap.
So I don't think you'll find that in any other app on the App Store. That's a pretty niche feature right there. I'm in some crazy... I just realized that I'm in the wrong thing, so that's going to look funny. So you probably didn't see half of what I was doing there. Apologies about that. Hopefully you followed. Yeah, reviews are great, and any way that you can help to spread the word on Twitter and things like that is great. If you do want to do that, you can go into here and share with friends. You can post. I've only got a mail account set up on here, but you can use that to share on Twitter and those kind of things. And yeah, drum forums anyway. The hardest thing for me is just letting people know about it. So it's really useful if I'm sure you guys do tell people anyway. But all of that is very much appreciated. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see if I can do one of these in the future. And if you think of any more questions, feel free to come back and ask them. Hopefully I'll get version 2.2.9 out in the relatively near future. If you have ideas for features for that, then go ahead and email me. The easiest way to do that is in the menu here. Go on the About Help page and just click where it says Contact Us, and you can just send me an email directly. And I'll take all those into consideration. Some things aren't possible to do. Other things are, and I take everything into consideration and do what I can. So thanks again. I'm going to go and get some sleep.